You have to stick around for this video because I'm taking you into a Dallas suburb that is quiet, residential, family friendly, starting in the 300,000s. And I'm telling you right now that Sachse, Texas is a city full of pleasant surprises. So in today's video, I'm doing a map tour to show you the layout. We're covering commutes and highways and restaurants and shopping, medical access, schools, everything that you need to know when it comes to making a decision on if Sachse would be best for you and suited for your family. If you are new here, my name is Modupe Idowu, and I am a Texas realtor and a mortgage loan originator. So whether you're moving in 8 or 80 days, we help families just like yours, individuals just like yourself, move from all over the country to the DFW area. And so our goal really is just to make that move as smooth as possible. All right, so let's dive in. Okay, so let's dive into the map tour. Now, don't mind me, you're gonna see me looking down a little bit because I have 2 monitors for information. But so the first thing that we wanna go over is, where is Sachse located, right? So here's Sachse, okay? Now here it is in relation to Dallas. So here's Dallas proper. And we'll get into the different ways that you'll come in, but you see just 78 through Garland, it hits you right into Sachse, okay? So then let me also show you some areas like Richardson, Plano, Wiley, Rowlett, Garland, right? So you see just how close you are to some of the other areas, and Murphy. So one thing that I like about Sachse is that it doesn't feel too far removed from everything. And then you still have that suburban feel, and you're still connected to parts of the Metroplex. Something else to know is that Sachse actually sits both in Dallas and Collin County. Okay, so it's in both. So depending on what part of the city you're in, that can impact your taxes, school districts, even resale appeal for some buyers. Okay, so now we want to talk about how people get around Sachse. Now remember, I told you, let's see if we can move this down really quick. I told you how folks just take 78, right, all the way down. If you got to go into work to Dallas, right? It's just straight shot. 78 is very, very popular, okay? It's kind of hard to get around. So let's talk about all the roads that people use day to day here, because that's how you're going to start understanding the flow of the city. The biggest road running through is what I just showed you is 78, and that is a big connector into Garland, towards Dallas, further north towards Wiley, right? So you could be taking this south, but you could also be taking 78 towards Wiley, and then even out to Lavon, especially if you want to get out to Lake Lavon, right? So, you know, those are those options there. Okay, just get comfortable with Highway 78. Now, then you also have the President George Bush Turnpike. Here's the thing, this is a toll road. Okay, so it's not free. You're going to pay to get on it. Now, we know how popular it is for why so many people choose Sachse is because they have easy access into Dallas proper, but also you can take the President George Bush Turnpike into areas to like Plano, and also you can use that to connect to other areas in Richardson. So you can get to some of the other far north areas. We know Plano is huge when it comes to some of those job centers, in addition to just going on over to Richardson, or also going straight into to Dallas, right? We know those are big spots for jobs. So you can always take the Turnpike. It's huge. It's going to give you access, like I said, to Plano, Richardson, North Dallas, Addison, other major employment hubs. So you want to factor in, just go ahead and factor it in. I'm telling you right now, factor in your budget for tolls because you're going to be using it. But a lot of people think that it's worth it because it's going to save you time. All right. Now inside of Sachse are some other roads that people use. So let's zoom in here. So some of the other roads that a lot of locals will use within Sachse is Big Whoop-de-Doo, Sachse Road. You've also got Merritt Road, which is another popular road to take through the city. Miles Road, Bailey Road, and Brand Road, okay? And then Murphy Road and West Farm. All right, so we'll annotate here. So right here, this is a farm to market 544. Let's take this off. Okay, so you see how with Sachse borders Wiley. It also bumps into Murphy, okay? We know that it's also not too far from Garland, right? And Rowlett. Now, so you got West Farm, all right? So some folks who are on the border will take West Farm, all right? And they'll use that to kind of cut into Plano, okay? They'll just kind of cut through and work their way into Plano that way. So you can kind of see how these roads connect to different parts of the city, okay? But just know that, you've got pretty good options, but the big takeaway here is gonna be the Turnpike, because you're gonna access that super quick. I mean, actually, 78 and the Turnpike is pretty much the most popular that you'll be using if you decide on Sachse. All right, so you kind of get a feel for how these different roadways and like the Farm to Market 544 or Highway 78 or even the George Bush Turnpike, you can kind of see how that connects you to different parts of the city or to shopping, schools, some neighboring suburbs. And so just know that as you begin to move east towards Wiley, you're going to see there's a lot of growth pushing that way. So you're going to notice more newer development and master plan communities. But for the most part, like I said, Sachse has some more established areas as well, but there is growth moving towards Wiley, moving towards Murphy as well when you get to the borders of those cities, okay? Let's talk about commutes and airport access, okay? So this is a huge talk, all right? Let's talk about them because it's a huge question for relocation buyers. So from Sachse, right here, all the way into Dallas, you're looking at about 30 to 40 minutes from downtown Dallas. Now that's depending on the traffic. Remember, the traffic in Texas is wild. So if you're going through, during rush hour or different things of that nature, you got to budget time for that. But if traffic is doing all right, you're looking at 30 to 40 minutes. Now, when it comes to traffic to getting to Plano, right? From Sachse to Plano or from Sachse to Richardson, you're around 20 to 30 minutes or so. Okay, so if you're working in those areas, it's not that bad. And then think about it. If you are hybrid or if you are remote, if you're remote, you're chilling, right? But if you work a hybrid schedule, maybe the traffic is a payoff if it's only 2 to 3 times a week, right? So when it comes to getting to the airport, so here in the DFW, you've got 2 choices. So here we are in Sachse. Now the international airport is all the way over here on the opposite side, okay? And so you're about 45 minutes to DFW airport, okay? Now Love Field, that's more so regional. So DFW International, that's for it's clear, your international flights, right? But if you're taking some domestic flights to get from Sachse to Love Field, which is closer, you're, depending on the traffic, you're looking around 35 minutes or so, depending on traffic, to get to that airport. So that's nice, right? Some people are like, who travel a lot, maybe you want to be a little bit closer, understandable. But when you see all of the space and some of the different things that you can get in Sachse, some folks say, listen, I live here every day, I travel intermittently, I will be okay if I am a little bit further out from the airport, right? So if you're someone who travels for work, it's definitely something to think about. And, one thing we like to tell people who are moving to Texas is commute times. Like I said, they look short on paper. I had to learn when I moved. Before I would leave the house, I would, put in my GPS. Okay, let me see how far I am from someplace. It's like, oh, great, it's only 20 minutes. I was like, it was only 20 minutes at 9 p.m. It was 45 minutes, an hour during rush hour in the morning when you're getting ready to leave, right? So it looks short on paper, but traffic can change everything. So if you're going to be commuting daily downtown, or you're going to be commuting daily to some of the far north job centers, you know, you just want to pay attention, right? Toll access, time of day, just which side of Sachse do you live on? Like I said, if you're remote or hybrid, it's going to make a lot of sense because you're getting more house, you're getting more space, right? You're getting a more relaxed suburban environment. And so there's a trade-off. Let's dive into shopping, retail, and just everyday convenience, all right? So these are the areas people actually go for food and daily errands. And one of the biggest retail areas nearby is the Firewheel Center over here in Garland. So let me see if I can annotate this for you. All right, so one of the biggest shopping centers, retail areas near Sachse. It's not in Sachse, but it's near Sachse. You see how close it is. This is the Firewheel Town Center. You see how close it is to Sachse. So some of the entertainment, some of the different things that you have access to, you're just a hop, skip away in Garland, the town over, okay? It's a really big hub for a lot of people living in Sachse because you have a ton of restaurants, shopping, movie theaters, lots of your everyday retail, all the different fast food joints, you know, In-N-Out and Panera, you know, your standard stuff, but then some local options as well. And this has been a really popular area for restaurants, family activities, events, and entertainment. You see they even have the Firewheel Estates. So, you know, and then you have popular spots like Woodridge Cafe and Frankie's. And that's going to be more so in Sachse. In Sachse, you've got the station. You got the station, so that's right here. So if you want to stay in Sachse, you got your own little hub there. What's really cool about that place is that they do have some apartments that are built. You can actually see everything. You can see the station from the highway. But then they also have restaurants. There's even some doctor's offices and different things there, but they have local restaurants, ice cream shops. It's just a really cute spot if it's like Friday night, or let's face it, it's Thursday evening, you don't feel like cooking dinner and you just want to take the family to get something to eat really quick. You have tons of options at the station. All right, so that is right here. But then if you're like, wait, I kind of want access to a little bit more shopping or more variety, you're just going to keep on trucking along and you're going to run into Firewheel Center in Garland. Okay, another popular spot for Sachse is Frankie's. Frankie's in Sachse. It's a Mexican cuisine place. Another popular spot in Sachse is the Osaka Hibachi and Sushi Bar. All right, so you've got access to that. And then you're also not too far for those who want to golf and get your swing on from Breckenridge Disc Golf Park. Okay, now that is in Richardson. But again, because Sachse, it just has more of a smaller feel, you're gonna have everything you need for day to day, right? But if you want a little bit extra in entertainment, a little bit extra, or you want more options, you're just a hop, skip away from Richardson, a hop, skip away from Garland, right? You're not too far from Wiley. You can still get to the lakes. We'll talk about that in a little bit. But so you're just properly situated for that quiet suburban living, but you're not sacrificing anything, okay? Now remember, we told you that the station is where there's a lot of different opportunities. It's like a mixed use development there. As you continue to go down 78 and you're heading towards east, getting close to Wiley, you are going to see a lot of commercial growth, okay? A lot of commercial growth. Now for grocery stores, you've got plenty of options around Sachse. You've got Kroger, Walmart, Tom Thumb. So some places are not in Sachse, but they're close by, all right? So you have Walmart in Sachse. You've got Kroger in Sachse. Kroger also in Garland as well. When you go up 78, you'll see Sachse Plaza, which will have some options for groceries like the Walmart Supercenter. And then let's say you need to go to Costco, because I'm a Costco girl, okay? You could go to Costco in Rockwall. So here we are in Sachse, and just across 66, if you would like to take Route 66 going through Rowlett, if you want. However, which way you choose to get in there, you can even go up this way and connect to 205. But over here in Rockwall, you've got HEB and you've got your Costco warehouse, right? So that is an option. The other option is for you to go up to Plano potentially and take part in their Costco over there. Okay. So you've got the Tom Thumb, that's in Wiley. But remember, Wiley borders Sachse. So depending on where you are, but you definitely have options, right? You've got options. And then there's a Target not too far away, an HEB not too far away. So, this area is very convenient for day-to-day living because you're not going to feel like you have to drive 30 minutes out. That's not the case. So we can talk about restaurants and entertainment. We already talked about how life in Sachse itself is a little bit more quiet, more suburban. And the nice thing is that you're so close to all the other different cities, right? And the great things that they have to offer as well. We spoke about Firewheel and that hub for you to check out. And then you're also still close to Rockwall. You're not too far from Rowlett by any means. Even Plano for more dining options or entertainment. And you'll find some coffee shops, casual dining, some bars, family restaurants, and a lot of the bigger chains. Now, if you're looking for that high-rise, rooftop, walkable urban living, this isn't that type of area. It's really more so for folks looking for practical, family-oriented lifestyle. So then, Sachse ends up working pretty well for that. But don't forget that, you can enjoy the Lake Ray Hubbard, and also get up into Lake Lavon. All right, so here we are in Sachse. You've got access if you really want to go up through Wiley and experience Lake Lavon, right? And then also you have that opportunity to head on into Rowlett and experience the lake, or come from the Rockwall side and experience the lake. So one thing I like about this side of DFW is that you still get a lot of green space. So here in Sachse, you've got places like Heritage Park, you've got Salmon Park, you've got some community playgrounds and walking trails and sporting fields. Obviously, we talked about Lake Ray Hubbard and Lavon Lake, and even getting to experience Rowlett's Creek Reserve Trail and Sachse City Park. You've also got, I think I showed you, Heritage Park. So there's a lot to choose from when it comes to just exploring and enjoying the outdoors. You see all that here, and also down this way on Lake Ray Hubbard. There's lots of trails, some sporting fields, and green space all throughout the city, so that's nice. And so even though Sachse isn't directly on the lake like Rowlett or Rockwall, you're just still close enough where you can get out to the lake and it's not like some long trip, right? So if you enjoy like boating or fishing, kayaking, or just getting outside, you've got some options very close by. So let's talk about healthcare access, because that is very important no matter your age, right? You want to start a family. We want to make sure you're close to a hospital that can deliver your little one, right? Or if you're a retiree and we just need to stay on top of doctor's visits to keep us strong and healthy, we want to make sure that you have healthcare access. This is something a lot of relocation buyers ask about. And so right here, you've got the Medical City, Sachse, okay. I believe also one of the things that are there in the Medical Plaza is Trinity Medical as well. And then you still have access to healthcare in neighboring or nearby communities like the Methodist Richardson Medical Center, also the Baylor Scott and White Lake Point in Rowlett. There's also a Baylor Scott and White in Rockwall. And then obviously there's like urgent care, different dentists and things like that. Another thing to note is that even at the station in Sachse, which is not too far, you actually have a few doctor's office. There's some offices from Baylor Scott and White, different primary and different specialists that are actually in that corridor. So what I'm saying is that you may have to travel to neighboring cities depending on who your provider is, but you also have options within Sachse. You're not too far. And then if all else fails, Plano has lots of options when it comes to providers and huge centers and different things of that nature. And we already discussed, it's not too far, especially if you just hop on the toll road, right? So those are some of your options, medical services that you can see for easy access. So overall, you're not really sacrificing convenience when it comes to healthcare. Okay, so we're going to dive into schools and family life. And so Sachse is mainly served by Garland ISD, and a few areas feed into Wiley. So you've got the Wiley ISD, and then you also have Garland ISD. You can see they're kind of like on opposite ends, right? So you've got Sachse High School. And this is one of the main high schools in the area. It's well known locally for their athletics, school spirit, and extracurricular activities. Now, something I always tell my buyers is you don't want to just look at the district name, okay? You want to look at the specific school, the feeder pattern, the programs, and what fits your family the best. And overall, this area does attract a lot of families. So some, like I said, some is zoned for Sachse ISD, and then some others are zoned towards Wiley ISD. Now, you got to do your research. We kind of dive in more on the pros and cons on the different things, but Garland ISD does offer school choice, okay? And then on Wiley, which they do have some really high rankings, that is a draw, but it just depends on what part of Sachse you live in. So you want to make sure that's one reason to go ahead and book a call so that we can help you and make sure that you're zoned where you want to be zoned, because if school districts matter to you, we want to make sure we buy on the right side. We want the right fit and the right district, okay? Another thing that's pretty cool within Sachse on the school side is you have some Montessori schools, several Montessori schools to choose from, some preschool academies, right? You've got Pathway Learning Academy. So lots of different options if you want to keep your kids within the Sachse region. And then if you want to explore private school options elsewhere and get your applications in on time, go ahead and book a call. We can talk more about that as well. You're also going to notice a good deal of parks, playgrounds, youth sports, a lot of family-friendly oriented events throughout the city. One popular park is Heritage Park. See if I can get that up for you. We talked about Salmon Park, and then also getting out to Lake Ray Hubbard, Lake Lavon, and different things like that in Sachse City Park. So you've got options, like I said, when it comes to the outdoors or just family-friendly spots to hang out. When it comes to new construction and growth, as you continue to move northeast, this corridor is growing, whether you're going northeast towards Rockwall and Roy City and on to Fate, or whether you're going northeast towards places like Sachse and Wiley, Murphy. The areas are just continuing to grow quickly. And so As you start moving towards the eastern side of Sachse, you are closer to Wiley. You're going to notice some newer communities that way, some new development and continued expansion. Okay. Again, Sachse for the most part it's pretty well established, but as it keeps going northeast, you run into before you get to Murphy and Wiley, you just see a lot more growth and activity there. So it's a reason why some buyers start looking in Sachse, because they can often find newer homes, more square footage, master plan communities. Don't get me wrong, it's not going to overtake the area, but it is there and at a lower price point than some of the other northern suburbs out this way, Richardson and Plano, different things like that. So I would say Sachse it's a really good fit for families, okay? Families, first-time home buyers, relocation buyers, remote workers, or hybrid workers at least. People who are just wanting more space. It's also a good option for people who feel maybe priced out of Plano or Frisco, or maybe you don't feel priced out. You got the cash to go ahead and do that in Plano and Frisco, but you just want a better deal and a little bit slower of a pace because you know you can just drive into those other areas. I mean, that's an option too, right? Now, if you want walkability downtown, nightlife, density, public transit, high density, and all those things, it's not going to be ideal for you, right? When you come to Sachse, it's because you have access to so much. Everything you need is within Sachse or within a 20 to 30 minute drive, right? You're not too far from some of the main places, job hubs, and different things of that nature. And you've got good access to the Metroplex shopping and parks. And here's the thing, if you want some luxury shopping and you want to go to Legacy West and Plano, I mean, again, hop, skip away, right? So it's definitely worth considering. And it sits in that sweet spot of being suburban, growing convenient, and still connected to the Metroplex. So you've got everything that you need in Sachse. So I hope that this really gave you a good overview of where everything is, and that as we go through on the channel explaining the different areas and roadways, that you're getting really comfortable. That way, after you book your call, because I know you're going to book one today, the link is in the description and there'll be a QR code put up. As we begin to mention and we go on these tours, you'll be familiar with I-30 and with 78 and 635, right? And the Turnpike. Nothing will be that foreign to you. It's just going to reinforce what we've already shown you, and it's going to make it that much easier for you to make a decision. Because a lot of times when we're relocating for jobs, you sometimes only have a weekend to come down and to see what you want. So we want to be your eyes and ears, your hands and your feet on the ground, so that when it's time to pull the trigger, you already know, right? And we can help you narrow that down. Okay, you've seen it all, right? Now, if you still have a few more questions about Sachse, we've also got another video on the pros and cons, so be sure to check that out as well. But I want to know your thoughts. What do you think about the town? Could you see yourself living here? I mean, it's really nice to get that much house, that much space, and just seeing how everything is laid out. It could work for you and could be a good fit. So let us know in the comments. Be sure to book a call. The link is in the description. There's also a QR code for you to scan either to the right or left of me. We want you to book a call with the team. We can help you get pre-approved and narrow down that search. And until next time, like and subscribe. And I hope to see you around Texas. Think Dallas suburbs are all the same? Wait until you see Sachse. I'm talking bigger lots, newer homes, in a location that puts you close to Dallas without the chaos. And this vlog, I'm showing you what life here really looks like.